நம்முடைய தமிழ் மொழி உலகிலேயே மிகவும் தொன்மையான மொழி. எந்த தேசத்திடம் இருக்கின்றதோ அந்த தேசத்திடம் பெருமிதம் பொங்க வேண்டுமா கூடாதா சொல்லுங்க.
செம்மொழி வலையொலி யூடியூப் சேனல். இந்த சேனலின் மூலமாக, அந்த வலையொலியின் மூலமாக பல்வேறு தகவல்களை தினந்தோறும் நாங்கள் வழங்கி கொண்டிருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த நிலையில் சிலப்பதிகாரம் என்ற தலைப்பில் ஒவ்வொரு பகுதியாக வழங்கக்கூடிய அந்த தொகுப்பை முழுமையாக கண்டு பார்க்கலாம்.
The title of this lecture is The Impact of Sangam Poems on Kalidasa's Kumarasambhavam. Kalidasa's Kumarasambhavam has been baffling the minds of Western and traditional Indian scholars for a long time with regard to its title, content, structure and texture. Considered one of the early works of the great Indian craftsman, it has 17 parts, sargas, though Sanskrit critics aver that the larger part of it, from the 9th to the 17th book, is an interpolation, as it is poetically inferior to the small first part of 8 books. Has not been quoted by later poets and has been totally ignored by many of the commentators. Almost every writer on the epic accepts that the first 7 or 8 sargas are vintage Kalidasa, but not all of them are prepared to question the authenticity of the great bulk of the work, which is called Kumarasambhavam, but speaks of the birth of Kumara only in one of the later cantos. For the story of the epic, several sources such as Ramayana's Balakantam, Mahabharata's Vanaparvam, Shivapuranam's Jnana Samhita, Shiva Mahapuranam's Rudra Samhita, Skanda Puranam's Kedara Kandam, and Matsya Puranam, Padma Puranam and Linga Puranam have been suggested. But as the native scholar Professor Krishnamurthy says, scholarship is unable to decide how much of this poem Kalidasa owes to his sources and how much is his own creation. According to the Western scholar A.N. Keith also, we know nothing of Kalidasa's model for his poem, though there are doubtless reminders here and there of Aswagosha, as in the description of the actions of the women of the city on the advent of Shiva and Parvati, which has a prototype in the description of the Buddha Charita of the entrance of the prince, and which is taken up again in the description of the Raghuvamsa of the entry of Aja and Indumadi. Kalidasa's date is another vexed question that has been debated endlessly, though the celebrated historian of Sanskrit literature believes that Kalidasa lived before 472 AD and probably at a considerable distance, so that to place him about AD 400 seems completely justified. Our experts are, of course, extremely divided in their pronouncements and hunches, and the period in their opinion ranges from the 1st century BC to the 5th century AD. but the Indian and Western scholars, surprisingly unanimous in their conviction that for some motifs, themes and poetic forms, Kalidasa is ultimately indebted to the highly esteemed corpus of Sangam poems. As early as the 70s of the 20th century, George Hart, in his The Poems of Ancient Tamil, their milieu and their Sanskrit counterparts, and the relation between Tamil and classical Sanskrit, came out with striking examples of Kalidasa's direct or indirect borrowings from Sangam poets. His findings have been later corroborated by a few more of equal erudition. One of most striking motifs common to ancient Tamil and Sanskrit poetry is the flute-like music of the wind emanating from bamboos. An exquisite description of this occurs in Agananuru, poem number 225. Kalidasa uses it more than once. The wind breathing through hollow bamboos makes sweet music in Meghadudam. The Himalaya, filling the holes of bamboos with the wind issuing from the cave mouths, assumed the role of the one that gave Thana to Kinnaras, that is from Kumarasambhavam. The music flowing from the holes of bamboos, filled with air and sounding like flutes, that is from Raghuvamsam. There is no messenger motive in Sanskrit before Kalidasa, whose Meghadutam as an inspiring source in some Sangam pieces, which resorting to well-established convention, use non-human creatures like cranes and crabs as messengers. An Agananuru heroine sends a crab as a messenger to her lover. "O crab, you are my only incomparable support, because neither the grove nor the salt pond nor the sweet-smelling punnai haunted by the bees will convey my message. You must meet the one in whose land a swarm of bees fed on the honey from the nasal flowers of the big salt pond are too inebriated to fly, and must tell him at the dead of night, when the small crow of the seashore, perched on a branch of the Thadai, feeling frustrated, dreams of eating prawns with its beloved female companion, how can the lady that removed your misery overcome hers?" The motive of separation of lovers during the monsoon occurs first in the Indo-Aryan in Satyasai, one of whose poems reads, "As I hear the thunder, it is like the executioner's drum." In the Tamil Agam poem, this is a common motif, and in Kurundogai also, a heroine curses the unsympathetic thunder and lightning, whose murderous appearance seems to threaten her life. "Not knowing that I am one to be pitied, the black clouds still roar and rain, and send lightning, O friends, aiming at my life." This is Kurundogai. An interesting theme occurring in Satyasai and traceable to Sangam poetry is the Abhisarika, or the wanton woman braving the weather and going out in wintry darkness to meet her lover. One such heroine reprimands her lover like this: "O ungrateful one, I still see the village mud I went through to get to you on rainy nights." In Kumarasambhavam, Abhisarikas, who may be noble ladies in genuine love with heroic men, are said to find their way by the light provided by Vashadi herbs when they are intent upon their rendezvous even on days of dark clouds. Siegfried Leonhard, in his article Tamil Literature Conventions and Sanskrit Muktaka Poetry, demonstrates with telling examples how several Kavi Samayas are of Tamil origin. Quoting approvingly these Western scholars, Krishnamurti explains that Maharashtra and Vidarbha bordering Tamil Nadu must have acted as a bridge or carrier of Tamil poetic conventions directly into Maharashtri Prakrit and through it into classical Sanskrit. But a close reading of Kumarasambhavam in the light of Sangam works will force us to conclude that it was not a case of indirect influence through Maharashtri Prakrit or even of a nodding acquaintance with ancient Tamil poetry, but of a profound impact of some of the early as well as late Sangam writings, though we may never know how this happened. Tirumurugatru Padai and Paripadal seem to have served as exemplary sources of inspiration for Kumarasambhavam, for which there is no known Sanskrit model. Kalidasa's love and admiration for Kumara is unprecedented in Sanskrit literary tradition. Besides authoring an epic on his favorite god, he sings the Lord's praise in numerous contexts in his other works, reminding us of the tributes to Murugan in Sangam poems, which present the Tamil deity as an archetype of beauty, youth and heroism. Agananuru alludes to Sinammigu Murugan, Palpori Mallai, Velgodi Uyariya, Odiya Viravin Nediyon, Serumigu Sei, Murugan Sitrat Urgal Kurisil, Manimayil Uyariya Mara Vendri, Penimuga Urdi Vonsayonimena. That is from Purananuru. In all these classics, Murugan is presented as one who is wrathful, heroic, brilliant and ever victorious, and as the peacock as his vehicle. In Meghadudam, in a single stanza, Kumara's parentage, glory and achievement are put in a nutshell. Skanda has made that hill his fixed abode. Transform yourself into a flower cloud and shower him with blossoms, moist with Ganga's celestial waters. For he is the blazing energy, sun surpassing, that the wearer of the crescent moon placed in the divine fire's mouth to protect Indra's hosts. It is in Raghuvamsam that Kumara becomes the standard of comparison for almost every king of the Raghu dynasty, just as Murugan is the model for the ancient Tamil kings and princes in Sangam poetry. These are from Raghuvamsam, these passages. As Parvati and the bull-bannered Shankara were delighted to have Kumara, one born in the reeds, so the king and the Magadha princess were delighted to have the little prince. Raghu, who resembled Kumara in valor, shot an arrow. His queen, they say, gave birth to a son, that is the reference to Aja, who very nearly resembled Kumara. seated on the bejeweled throne, he was comparable in beauty to Guha riding on the peacock's back. The king's prowess was equal to that of Kumara, who pierced the Krauncha mountain. Raghava resembled the son of Hera. Being affectionate by nature, Rama treated all the mothers with equal respect, just as the leader of the army of gods showed equal love to the Kritikas from whose breasts he had sucked milk with his 6 mouths. All these passages are from Raghuvamsam. Even in Vikramorvasiyam, Kalidasa cannot help recalling a scene from the 13th canto of his first epic. The installation of Ayush as heir apparent reminds Narada of the crowning of Mahasena or Kartikeya as the commander-in-chief by Indra. Such repeated references to Skanda are indicative not only of Kalidasa's fondness for the young god, but of the infectious nature of the great zeal with which Murugan had been portrayed in Sangam classics. The extent of Kumarasambhavam, the appropriateness of its title, and the authenticities of cantos 9 to 17 have been fruitlessly discussed by the Sanskrit scholars without reference to the models available elsewhere. It has been pointed out that only a limited number of manuscripts at the Bhandarkar Institute, Pune, contain the text up to the 17th Sarga, while many commentaries end with the 7th or 8th Sarga. Commentators like Arunagirinatha and Narayana seem to consider the poem complete at the end of the 8th Sarga, and none of the rhetoricians quote a single verse from the later 9 Sargas. Those that swear that Kalidasa wrote only 8 Sargas leave a number of questions unanswered. 8 Sargas are too few for a poem to be called a Mahakavya, especially because Raghuvamsam, Sisupalavadam, Naishadam, Kratarjunyam and Haravijaya contain as many as 19, 20, 22, 18 and 50 sargas respectively. The story of the poem is far from complete at the end of the 8th sarga, which describes the union of Shiva and Parvati after a colourful wedding. Neither Kumara's birth nor Tarakavada has taken place. Sargas 9 and 10 alone describe the epic hero's extraordinary birth. The only reason given in favour of the argument that the later sargas are not by Kalidasa is that they are not worthy of the great poet. Critics are not wanting who have expressed doubts about the genuineness of even the 8th sarga, which describes the joys of the wedded pair of divinities, that is Shiva and Parvati. But as a native scholar like Karmakar concludes after an impartial examination of all available evidence, he says, Sargas 1 to 8 are definitely from the pen of Kalidasa. Sargas 9 and 10 also are most probably ascribed to him, and that it is not improbable that Sargas 11 to 17 have also been written by him. Very strangely, the title cannot be justified by either group because the birth of Kumara is described in the 10th sarga and not in the 8th or in the 17th. If Kumarasambhava is taken to mean the birth of Kumara. Neither position is tenable, as the poet takes so long a time to describe the birth and goes far beyond it to recount the exploits of Skanda. As suggested by Jivananda, the only way out is to take Sambhava in Kumarasambhavam in the sense of both birth and extraordinary greatness, so as to include the account of Kartikeya's birth as well as the destruction of Taraka at his hands. This explanation helps us trace the probable source of the title. The fifth poem of Paribadal, towards the end of its description of the birth of Murugan, uses the remarkable phrase Perumbayar Muruga as an apostrophe. Tirumurugatrupadai, a full-length poetic glorification of Murugan, also uses the same epithet besides Perumbayar Iyavul again. Immediately after, a brief account of the god's strange birth. The ninth poem of Paribadal, beginning with a brief mention of Murugan's birth, calls him Viyattahu Kumara. It is this Perumbayar meaning, great name, that has caught the attention of Kalidasa, who wants to cherish it in his long epic of Kumara's birth and cosmic fame.